Hello, welcome back to JM Football. This is your Day 2 Senior Bowl recap live from Mobile, Alabama. Left to right on your screen, it is the football grump Bobby Skinner. I am Justin Penik, and this is brought to you by Corona. Fellas, we got to start off with this. There was one of the most kick-ass, holy shit, did that guy really just do that, 1v1 reps today, and it was Mike Green, Marshall edge rusher, who absolutely planted a really good tackle who we were talking about yesterday.
Josh Connolly, both guys who were projected to go in the first round. I think that's why I made it pop. And there's times where a guy runs someone over. TJ Sanders, I think, ran someone over.
Yeah, but it wasn't this.
This was power.
Different.
This is a play you remember. 2 years ago, we talk about it when we're up in the stands watching these games play. And it made me mad because our friends at 32 Beat Writers to our left and then PFF to our right are like, oh, I doubt he's going to practice tomorrow. No, stop saying that. I want to see him continue to practice. I want to see him build off of it. It's refreshing to see from Mike Green because Mike Green is a more of a finesse player out of Tulane, not playing against the biggest competition in the NFL. But Josh Connolly is someone who can match his athleticism. Oh, yeah. I like Josh Connolly out of Oregon. He is extremely athletic. Now, he's not the strongest tackle in the world, and that's his issue, and that's why he's not a top of the first guy and looked at as a bottom of the first guy. But Connolly matches his athleticism, and that's what happened here. As Connolly gets quick out of his stance, ready to roll, and Mike Green reads that. And instead of Mike Green trying to work around the corner and not being able to do it, or work outside in a rip move when he's not the strongest guy, he generated some fucking power out of that and exploded, attacked his inside shoulder, put him on his ass, and it set the tone for the day.
Absolutely did. Grump, there was a couple guys that, we'll continue to talk about Mike Green if you want, but I really feel like one of the themes of today is the guys that maybe didn't perform as well yesterday that we were expecting to perform, I feel like they showed up a lot better today.
Yeah, well, Mike Green is one of them, right?
Yes.
He's not somebody that was somebody that we were expecting to see more out of, just considering his stat line and his highlight film. And this is exactly the type of thing that I was hoping to see out of Mike Green today. Josh Connolly not being the strongest tackle here is absolutely true, but he is very technically and fundamentally sound. So to get just absolutely trucked like that, working his power, this is what we wanted to see. And to Bobby's point, I would like, it's one rep. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One rep is one rep. That's not enough to go home for me. Right. I want to see this continue to build, and that's what I said yesterday too, right? Like Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday.
And I thought Green had a better day outside of that play too. Working around the corner, quick, using his swim, working some outside, inside stuff that worked fairly well. I like that. But here's the thing: is what in the F?
Earthquake in Mobile.
Yes.
I do want to talk about the Josh Connolly side of that, because Josh Connolly was one of my winners of yesterday on the offensive national side. I like Josh Connolly. He's extremely athletic. He's quick. He plays with decent technique. He does have a strength issue, and I knew that coming into this week. I was hoping against a guy like Mike Green that wouldn't show up, or even there's other random players where they don't have that play. They don't have the play where it's a play that you would remember in a regular game. But I just don't like the way he's held up at the point of attack consistently here in the pass protection. In the run game, he's done a good well. Gets out of his stance quick. He's athletic. I was hoping to at least see Connolly hold up strength-wise against these guys, and I just haven't seen that. I still like him a lot, but the strength has been an issue for him, and then it obviously accumulated in that snap against Mike Green where he just took him out to lunch.
Grump?
I don't know if he had a bad day yesterday, but somebody who just absolutely showed up today that I think is worth talking about. Also on the defensive side, defensive back from Louisville, Quincy Riley, was outstanding today. He has excellent ball skills. He has really, really good timing to break on passes and get his hand in there. He was unstoppable all day. And I was just kind of marveling right before we were starting this. He only weighed in at 5'10", 5'10". He doesn't look or play like that on the field. He definitely looks like a 6-foot corner out there.
He plays like an outside corner. Like you said, he just kind of made play after play after play. Yep. There was a back shoulder and one-on-ones where he gets the better positioning than the wide receiver on that play. He finds the ball on it. There's an out route where he undercuts it. There's a play where he gets beat off the line of scrimmage down the field, and the ball's not crazy underthrown, but slightly underthrown. He gets back in the catch space and not just does it. He finds it and gets his hand on it, and then he had a dropped interception and 11-on-11. He was to me, the defensive standout player, Justin. I think you even had done a video on him yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday and during day one's practice, Quincy Riley made the best play on the football rep out of, from what we saw from day one, and I would love to see that he backed it up in day two, and the stats kind of back it up. I mean, he had a lot of targets, 66 targets this year, and I think his snaps were somewhat limited too. 48.5% catch rate, though, and out of all the cornerbacks that are down here in Mobile, Trey Amos leads them in pass breakups with 10, but it's Quincy Riley that has 9, and Amos is a guy that's getting maybe second-round hype. Quincy Riley, his consensus ranking is 136 right now. I think that's going to go up. His forced incompletion rate was nearly 20% as well, so, I mean, I think even though this guy gets targeted a good amount, but I think the stats back it up and the eye test backs it up that this is a guy that can make a play on the football, and I think that's the shit that can work in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like you mentioned, there's times where he got beat, but he goes back and makes a play on the ball. That's the difference between guys who end up being starters and guys who are out of the league in a year, because you're not going to win every single rep, especially in the NFL, unless you're Sauce Gardner or Jalen Johnson. It's can you get back into play and make a play on the football. That's where, and then when you are winning and they throw a pass, then you can get an interception that way.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought the DBs overall had a good day.
This was a defense day, I think for sure.
The guy that on the offensive side, on the national side, that I've been the most consistently impressed with, and this is a Senior Bowl that's begging for a wide receiver to stand out, because there wasn't those guys that going in. In fact, you've been referencing the consensus. I think the highest consensus player was someone like 76. I think the TCU wide receiver.
I can check that for you right now. It actually is the
TCU receiver,
Stanford receiver, elite.
But he's not here.
So excuse me. It is 83. It's Jaden Higgins from Ohio State, also 69.
Iowa State.
Xavier Restrepo.
Xavier Restrepo is the top one.
Yeah, Xavier Restrepo, 69 consensus ranking.
But Tez Johnson has been now he's 160 pounds, and there is worries about that. But we've seen the short guys come here and dominate and then have success in the NFL. Like Calvin Austin and Tank Dell. Now both those guys have dealt with injuries that worry you. But what I like about him is when he has dealt with press, he's not going to be very physical. But he's good at sidestepping that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's good at seeing that press, using whatever release he needs to do to stay clean. We interviewed him and we said, "What's something that sticks out about your game?" And he literally said, "He's like, my ability to avoid contact, whether that's at the release, whether that's after the catch. I am good at avoiding contact." He's like, "I don't like to be hit, so I avoid contact." And I think he's been, to me, the best receiver down here by a pretty wide margin. The quarterbacks, target him on the 7-on-7s and team drills, 1-on-1. He dominates every single 1-on-1. It's a clean win for him.
Yeah, the fascinating thing about Tez Johnson is that at Oregon, he had a really low average depth to target of 5.9 yards. I mean, yards after the catch, 7.4. So, I mean, I don't want to fully say, does that yards after catch number really mean that you're good with Yak? Well, the average depth to target is so low. Are you just getting a lot of screens? But his yards per route run is 2.6, and that is really, really good. Like, I view 2.25, maybe if you're really getting towards 2.5, that's really good stuff for yards per route run. So Tez Johnson, even though this is a guy that does get a lot of targets, does get a lot of volume. He had 82 catches with an 80% catch rate this past year. But that yards per route run being so high means that the efficiency is good, and you're not just relying on the volume that you get. Yeah.
So want to clean up some other things on the national side, on the trenches. Marcus Mbow out of Purdue, offensive tackle. Quick feet. He has, and we interviewed him, Justin, and he said, "I want to be a tackle."
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm coming away from this week saying that. I see him more as a guard, and it's not just size or arm length, but I just think he's got quick feet. At tackle, he just struggles with the power, and it's not just someone gets ragdolls him. It's when guys are able to work that speed to power. At guard, is he going to be the super strong, beat up the defensive tackle guard? No, but his quick feet, I think, have shown up a lot better at that. And when I go back and watch his film, I'm going to have the eye like, maybe is this a guy that you move to guard that was kind of touted coming in here as the offensive lineman.
Yeah. Can I talk about another guy that I was really disappointed with today? And Grump, I'll have you go after this.
Sure.
Jalen Rivers from Miami, man. that was a guy yesterday that I wanted to talk about. I may have mentioned him at the end of our day one recap video, but man, I came in today. You know, I like doing my voiceovers if you know me in the shorts that I put out. And I came in today saying I need one more Jalen Rivers rep to have like a complete 30-second, here's a little bit about him and here's his reps at the Senior Bowl. I don't think I got that today during the 1v1s. And that's kind of disappointing. So from a guy that, I was putting him, him and Gray Zabel, I was kind of putting them on this similar tier on the national team during the offensive line day one, and now Jalen Rivers today just looked lost. I mean, I'm almost questioning, did you get the shits, or are you sick coming into today too? So Jalen Rivers kind of did disappoint me today. I'm hoping he bounces back and has a good day 3 because he had a really good day 1.
Grump, we spent time watching the quarterbacks today. On the national side, who do you think was the best, or what stood out for you?
The national side, I mean, those are the
Dylan Gabriel, Taylor Eggersma, and Tyler Show from Louisville.
So I had heard a lot that Tyler Show was showing up yesterday as being the consensus guy, and I don't think I saw that today. To me, Dylan Gabriel looks the most in control of the practice and knows what he's doing, knows what he wants to do with the football, and delivers it. It's not super flashy. None of the quarterbacks down here are really blowing us away with, highlight plays. Not saying that they're playing poorly, but there's nothing really.
I don't think any of these quarterbacks have played what I would say well.
Right. But nothing's really stood out. But he looks the most in tempo, in rhythm, delivering the ball accurately, consistently. It's just nothing is very wow. Tyler Show, I'm not really seeing that so much. I would say Taylor Elgersma looks like the ball coming out of his hand, all that stuff looks very good, so it allows for us to get good reps. But whether or not the between the ears stuff and completely changing from the Canadian game to the American game, I think is the biggest hurdle that we may not even really.
Then that's not going to happen here, right?
Exactly.
Taylor Elgersma is not going to come here and start processing amazing and become a 4th round pick or 3rd. He will at best go in the 7th round or
Yes.
6th round if a team is just I trust the talent there. But what I did like is yesterday Taylor Elgersma, and this is a quarterback from Canada. He's never played real 11-on-11 besides an All-Star game a couple weeks ago against lesser competition. Yesterday in 1-on-1s he looked sick, and 11-on-11 he looked completely lost. I'm talking basic types of concepts, couldn't see it. Today he at least had confidence throwing it.
Right.
He had an interception on 7-on-7 where Tez Johnson's trying to work behind a linebacker. He thinks that linebacker's sitting, and he's actually undercutting that, and he gets to intercept the linebacker was Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. But I thought he was the guy who was willing to push the ball down the field, even if he wasn't fully sure of it, just at least doing it. And that's what I wanted to see from him. And he hit Tez Johnson over the middle of the field, so he was able to do some stuff. I thought he pushed the ball down the field better than any of the quarterbacks. But I do think Dylan Gabriel's been the best quarterback for both teams here.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not perfect, right? It's not flashy. There's times where, they ran a too high coverage. Xavier Restrepo's wide open on a slot fade, and he just moves off of it and scrambles. So it's not great football, but I do think he has been the best quarterback here. Is there anything else we want to clean up on the national side? Gray Zabel and NDSU offensive lineman I thought looked solid like he did yesterday. Didn't wow the same way. Was there anything you wanted to clean up on this side, Grump?
Back-to-back days, I was trying to kind of see if I had heard anything yesterday, and today I tried to see with my own eyes with the Florida State corner, Azareye'h Thomas.
He doesn't look like a first-rounder, which
No.
I think some people would think he is.
A little bit below expectations. He didn't get, killed or anything like that, but, some guys I would expect him to win against, he was losing against. Like Jalen Knoll beat him twice. I was not super clean, but I expected him to elevate more than that.
Yeah. Again, there was people talking about him in the first round. He did not look like a first-round corner here in these first 2 days. Other last quick note, Bowling Green tight end Harold Fannin, who had over 100 catches. I saw him have a really good move block, and that made me okay, I'm going to look for because he's not going to be this great inline blocker. But I remember Isaiah Likely was someone who was a bad
Similar
blocker.
profile.
But he was a good move blocker. Can I find those plays when I'm watching him?
Yeah.
But that was one play that I kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah, he also caught a ball on the sideline too today. Terrence Ferguson had a nice one-handed catch in 1v1s while his jersey was getting tugged. University of Oregon, he's also a tight end. I will say, it does help Dylan Gabriel that he's throwing the ball sometimes to Tez Johnson and Terrence Ferguson, who were both on Oregon. They were all on the same team this year. Dylan Gabriel does kind of favor them at times. But nevertheless, Terrence Ferguson made some nice plays in 1v1. And that one-handed catch was really awesome, too. Aeneas Peebles, Grump, continues to stand out. I thought he had a better day today in 1v1 than he did yesterday, but he also continues to stand out mostly in team drills, 11 on 11. Just a really good run defender. He was kind of all over the place. Darius Alexander from Toledo was somebody that I had highlighted too. Jamari Caldwell is just a really strong dude. Him and Cam Jackson from Florida are the two biggest interior defensive linemen here, nearing 340 pounds. So fun day. I think the defense kind of takes it over and is the main headline from today, but alas, and Donovan Edwards also had an insane catch in 1v1s as well, and he's the running back out of Michigan, out of the backfield. He had a really nice catch where I saw some people tweeting out, we should convert him over to wide receiver. I don't know about that. I haven't watched Donovan Edwards enough, but that was a guy that had a standout play out of the backfield reception-wise.
Why don't you talk to us about the real winner today, Justin?
The real winner today. Today's episode and today's recap and this Senior Bowl trip is brought to you by Corona. You know what I was trying to be? A fan that never loses. And here's what I mean. My team doesn't win every single week, but I'm winning in Mobile, Alabama. But even when they lose, I'm still loving the game because whether it's a big deep ball, some third and short conversions, or just a great tailgate out in the parking lot, there's always something to cheer for. And the best beer to pair with awesome moments. How about Corona? Corona is all about finding the maximum amount of joy within every moment of the game. Win or lose, at home or on the road, it's a perfect beer to go along watching football and all the moments that come with it. So cheers to everyone who loves the game beyond the scoreboard. Corona. For the fans who never lose, get yours at ordercorona.com for 21 and older. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. You will be glad you did.
With the American side, let's talk about Jalen Milroe, the quarterback at Alabama. I think he's just been bad here. And it's, he had an interception today, versus Notre Dame linebacker Jack Kaiser, which it was a little bit of a dead play, I think, and he was just trying to throw it. But still had that. You can tell that because he could run and scramble here, right? But he has a red jersey on, so he's not going to get hit. He's not going to break a tackle. Anytime a quarterback runs here, nobody's impressed because he's not allowed to be touched. So are we talking? Did he avoid stuff? So you can tell that he is trying to operate from the pocket here and stick in the pocket and make throws.
It just hasn't been very impressive. So we watched one today where he just kind of threw at the ground, and it was like, well, maybe he's just trying to avoid a sack. It's like
he was taking sacks. He's not throwing he had the biggest throw in team drills today, but it was a little bit of an OPI by Jack Beck, the TC wide receiver, and a little bit
ball stays up in the air for a long time.
Yeah, it was kind of a floater where it shouldn't have been if he truly was trying to back shoulder that. But nonetheless, was complete in that one. It's as simple as this. Jalen Milroe, since he's been here, and we have seen quarterbacks who are not good look good. Jalen Milroe has looked like a bad quarterback 2 days in here, and he was people's favorite to be QB3. He was favorite people's second round pick, maybe even sneak into the first. And the film matters, and I know Jalen film isn't great. I don't think Milroe's done anything to get us to go excited and say, well, I'm going to look past this. So I'm going to look past this because he's really going to grow in it.
No, and really kind of neither has Dart for completely different reasons, right? Like Jackson Dart also has not stood out at all.
There hasn't been a single wow play in a team drill by Jackson Dart.
Yeah. Can we talk about something that was really good from the American practice, though?
Yes.
Okay. I thought.
No, let's stay negative.
Yeah. I thought a lot of the wide receivers on the American side looked really, really good. You and I both really liked the Georgia wide receiver, Arian Smith. He looks like the most natural to move into the NFL. No problem.
He won on a bunch of different types of routes. He won down the field. He just consistently won in the one-on-ones. He was targeted in the team drills. And so I went and looked up his stats because I didn't have any priors on Arian Smith. 817 yards this last year for Georgia, but also 17 yards per catch. So he was clearly a big play machine for them.
Right.
And I was able to see him run a hitch, run an in route, and it looked solid. That's like, okay, that's someone that's piquing my interest to see where he's going to go. Like that was, again, when the Senior Bowl, we are 3 months away from the draft. We cover the NFL full time, so we're not doing this year round. We don't have priors on all these players, and there's players who I walk away from each practice that I want to go watch the film next week. Arian Smith has been added to that list.
Yeah, and Tez Johnson might have been the most consistent here, but Tez Johnson's like a 5'9" slot only kind of wide receiver, whereas Arian Smith, I think, can line up kind of wherever.
Yeah, he's an outside
6 feet.
receiver.
Yeah. And for any play where he wasn't making a big play on the ball and actually making the catch, it felt like he was just being fouled. So he was winning pretty consistently here, and he looks like the most transferable to the NFL side. And I would say that there were other guys that also stood out. TCU wide receiver Jack Beck probably had, he had the big play that you guys are talking about in team drills, but another guy that consistently won in one-on-ones and then also converted that over to the team drills as well. 6'1", so he has some size to him as well as some breakaway speed. I thought that he looked really, really good, and I didn't know anything about Jack Beck coming into this.
Absolutely. Justin, we rewatched the offensive line, defensive line drills. You've seen that twice. What stood out to you from the American team in the trenches?
I think, we were talking about Walker yesterday from Kentucky, Deion Walker.
6'7", 340.
Walter Nolan, who had a better day than yesterday. But there's a certain expectation for Deion Walker, Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, right? The three of those guys in particular, there's a different expectation for them on the American side that they should kick ass. And I thought today was a step in the right direction for all three of them in terms of fulfilling their expectation down here in Mobile. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like Deion Walker better today. He was using his power, right? I even noticed him in some team drill where it's like, all right, he scraped over the top on a run.
Yeah, used his hands. Yeah. It would have been a tackle for loss. Just, boom, filled it very quick.
Made plays like that. The guy that I was probably the most like, this was a better day for you than it was yesterday, it was the guy that I came in here thinking about the most, and that's Shamar Stewart, the edge out of Texas A&M. First, me and Grump were very close to him today, and it's like, all right, I fucking get it. This guy is just huge, rocked up. Like, he is a big son of a gun. Yeah. And when you see him make a play, it gets you juiced up more so than whatever random, defensive end out here making a play. And Team Drill had a clean, just beat Emory Jones, the tackle out of LSU, beats him around the corner for what would have been a strip sack because he literally stripped the ball out of the quarterback's hand. Had other better plays in one-on-one. Used his power against, I forget the last name of the Arizona tackle, but Jonah, who's, a highly rated player, was able to push him back into the quarterback, have that. Now, I still see things that worry me with him as a pass rusher. After that nice play that he had against Emory Jones, you could tell Emory Jones does not want to get beat around the corner, right? He was upset with himself in that moment. And so Emory Jones, he's working to protect that corner, and he leaves his inside vulnerable. And Shamar Stewart does realize it, but he just doesn't have, to me, he's not a guy who I see who's going to string moves together, right? I think if he has a move that he's planning on working and it works well and at full speed, it's awesome. But when he sees, okay, Emory Jones is way oversetting this, I think his ability to transition that move into an inside move or to power, or if he does have a nice bull rush and turning that into a win at the quarterback and not just pushing the pocket, I still do think he lacks that overall. But you saw enough dominant wins today that got you really excited, especially with the run defense that he's going to bring you.
Yeah, he was feeling it too on the field too.
Yeah. First of all, the American side, the defensive group, they are a very, hyped up group. There's a lot of energy among all of them. And I guess that sort of makes sense with the SEC, but it almost seems like these guys are all teammates, the way that they kind of jive with each other. But, yeah, Shamar Stewart, Deion Walker, they all had much better days today than they did yesterday. I also really like the UCF corner, Mac McWilliams. I don't know what he did yesterday. I know some people were kind of talking about him a little bit, but I think he's fun to watch. He's really aggressive. He's not afraid to mix it up either. Another guy with really good timing and ball skills to make a play on the ball.
He wins consistently in one-on-ones. There was a lot of guys talking about him. Smoking Woody, was saying he looked like the best cornerback down here, and that's a guy who's respected.
Absolutely.
Then I forget the other UCF corner's name.
Brandon Adams.
Brandon Adams. He was making some plays as well too. So the UCF guys were representing down here.
Anything from Trey Amos?
He got. I think he had some hydration issues or something. He got helped off the field, but I think he came back.
I thought he looked solid. I'd like to see him be a little more dominant, but he did have some good plays. I actually thought the cornerback group as a whole in the American team just was consistently able to win most of their one-on-ones. There was a few guys, if I pull up Trey Amos, I thought did a good job for them.
Yeah. Maxwell Harrison is another
Harrison,
one.
Stout.
Upton Stout. So I was listening to the Stock Exchange, coming down here. They interviewed Jim Nagy, and Upton Stout was a guy. I mean, that's a guy that's short. I think he may be like 5'9", and from Western Kentucky, the cornerback. So he's going to be a nickel only in the NFL, but apparently he plays fiery, he's fast, and he's very physical.
He likes to mix it up,
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was actually compared in that show to Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky, who was on the New York Giants, and I thought you saw the similar things like that. Now, there was a play where Arian Smith, Grump, didn't have a great win, but makes a play on the ball and has a touchdown on that one. So you do see some of the issues with his size where he can lose the ball, but that first 0 to 15 yards of the field, he did a really good job.
Right.
Maxwell Harrison, I think, has looked solid, not as good as I like. You could tell he likes to be physical as well. Now, his physicality can get him in trouble because it can end up leaving him behind in the route, but you do see him bring the physicality. It just didn't always hit the way that you wanted. Other defenders, Omar Norman-Lott, he had to have been injured in the practice yesterday. We didn't get to see him out there. The Tennessee defensive tackle, a little undersized, but really won yesterday for me. So he wasn't out there. I think, that's kind of what I've got on the American side. If you have anything left, Justin.
Two other guys, and this is not typically positions that we talk about here at the Senior Bowl, but they stood out in 11 out of 11. Shamar James, linebacker from Florida Interior.
Mobile, Alabama native.
Mobile, Alabama native, especially as we're seeing Senior Bowl week. This week they're running the ball a lot. They are. But Shamar James was everywhere, man, everywhere, and he was involved in a lot. Same thing with Dante Trader from Maryland, and he's a safety. He had some really nice pass deflections in 1v1, and then also he was very, very good against the run as a safety kind of coming up. So I'm thinking is that a linebacker that's just wearing number 12? No, it's Dante Trader, the safety. So I thought both of those guys had a good day. Again, positions that we typically kind of don't even touch sometimes down here at the Senior Bowl.
Grump, do you have any final notes?
The last thing on Shamar James, the linebacker from Florida. I only happen to know this because it was working out right in front of me. The linebacker drills. I was just kind of watching their footwork. He looked like the most pro-ready in terms of fundamentals.
Yeah.
You just look at the way he has his feet. Maybe the traits, he might not be the fastest guy. He might be the biggest linebacker. Huge legs. But yeah, you could see fundamentally this is a very coached-up linebacker. That's all I had on it.
I love it. That is going to do it for day 2 here in Mobile, Alabama. We will see you tomorrow for our final day, unfortunately, from our favorite place on earth. It's heaven on earth, Mobile, Alabama, the Senior Bowl. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow, day 3. Peace.